What's the crack, everyone? It's Ollie from B2B Sports here, and it is another big fat L Monday for Minnesota Vikings fans. Kind of getting used to this now, aren't we? The Vikings lost 27-20 to the Kansas City Chiefs last night at home at US Bank Stadium. And of course, it wouldn't be a Vikings game without a little bit of controversy in the game. On the whole, I thought the Vikings played well. Again, we're the masters of our own downfall. Should have capitalised on a lot of these chances that we're making. And yeah, me and Sam alluded to it on the podcast last week. If you're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, you're going to have to beat the refs as well. And we didn't do that. Unfortunately, there were a couple of big calls that went the Chiefs' way. Incredibly frustrating. But yeah, what can you do? Going through the game, a couple of the big talking points that I'd just like to bring up. Kirk Cousins is not the problem. Kirk Cousins had a good game. You know, you look at his completion stats, and it probably doesn't look like he had a good game. I think he had 280 odd yards, 2 touchdowns. And I don't know what his completion rate was. I'm guessing it was about 60%. But a lot of those were drop passes. A couple you can say were a little bit wayward, a little bit wide, difficult for the receiver to grab. But the majority were simple catches that the receivers and the tight end should make. Hockenson had 3 on the day. He's been naff really since he signed that big contract extension, making him the highest paid tight end in the league. Yeah, which is the pressure getting to him a little bit? Is he coasting a little bit now? He's secured that deal. But yeah, Hockenson, I'm expecting, I think a lot of the fan base are expecting more from him. And hopefully he can turn that around against the Chicago Bears next week. But yeah, dropped catches again were a feature in this game. Not being clinical, not taking those chances that we had. We catch those balls, we're scoring more points at the end of the day. I think Madison had a big drop as well later on in the game. It was pretty much a certified touchdown. Good screen, and yeah, he was through with blockers, which is even more frustrating from the Vikings standpoint. And then obviously you got the fumble at the beginning of the game, first play. Can you believe it? We're on to some sort of record this year for turnovers. But yeah, Josh Oliver, who's been good this year so far for the Vikings, made a good gain, and then the ball pops out on the tackle, and Kansas City just gets 7 points immediately straight off the bat. And this is where it's killing us this year. We can trade with these big teams, with the Eagles and with the Chiefs. We can trade with them, but at the end of the day, if we give them points, they're good enough to not let you back in the game. There were a couple of huge calls that went the Chiefs' way. The interference that wasn't an interference on Addison in the fourth quarter. I mean, I've seen them given for sure, for absolute sure. I've seen those given in the league this year. You can argue it wasn't as forceful as other, interference calls, but I believe it was interference. And then you had Snead taking off his helmet and the ref reminding him politely to put it back on. I mean, I know that wouldn't have changed the fourth down situation, but we would have had a penalty pinning the Chiefs back a little bit more on the punt, and that could make the difference in these close games. In the fourth quarter, field possession is massive. There was also another DPI call on Harrison Smith, where the Chiefs receiver almost had Smith in a headlock, which again, I wasn't too happy with that one either. Again, I thought that was a little bit of a dodgy call. But yeah, there was just a couple of big swings that went the Chiefs' way. Injuries was another big talking point in this game. Obviously, you had Travis Kelce go down. Was in the second quarter. He looked like he fell really, really awkwardly on his own on the turf. I watched the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis, and they both don't like the turf games, and they do have a point. You see an awful lot more injuries on turf than you do on grass, and a lot more injuries, where it's a non-contact injury, where the guy just goes down on his own. A lot of Vikings fans might have been cheering that Travis Kelce went down, but I want the best to play the best. So it was a little bit like, I'll take it, but you want the best to play the best. And after a quick minute of being out on the sidelines, he was back on the field, strapped up his ankle. I think it's a low ankle sprain in the end, but he came on. Fair play to him. Played through the pain. He's such a big piece for the Chiefs and how their offense operates. And ultimately, he was able to play through the pain and get through it. On the Vikings side of the ball, Jefferson went down again on his own after a little give and go route, and it doesn't look good. I think early reports are it's hamstring related, and who knows how long that could be. If it's minor, he might miss the Bears game and go again against the 49ers. If it's major, he'll be out for several weeks, which would be a huge loss for the Vikings. I can't even state how big that would be if we were to lose him. I know anything could happen in the season, but we're 1-4. We've only got a handful of losses to go until our season's done, and with some more big games coming up, divisional games, and obviously the 49ers as well, we need the best of Justin Jefferson. If there was anyone to dig us out of this hole, it needs to be him. But that's my take on the game. As I said, we've only got a couple more losses in us, and I think our season is done. Obviously, the one thing that we've got going for us is we've got all divisional games still left to play. I know the Lions are running away with it at the minute on 4-1, but stranger things have happened. We need to keep the faith until there isn't any. But the Bears next week, hopefully we can pick ourselves up and go again for that one. Even with or without Justin Jefferson next game, we cannot underestimate the Bears. They've been pretty awful as well this season alongside us, but we cannot underestimate them. This is a good football team. We've got good players, but we're just not doing ourselves any favours right now, and we need to get out of that mindset. But what are your thoughts on the game, Vikings fans? As always, cheers for listening, everyone. Skol Vikes. Peace out.